It wasn't to cry that Brooke Bailey went there. When she said those 8 horrifying words, he locked me in that hotel room and the whole business came to a halt. She had come to expose the gym owner who flashes jewels on red carpets, Jim Jones, is dropping verses about loyalty. Wait, what kind of cruel power play is this? She says he barred the door, took away her phone, put her in jail for hours, and told her bluntly, "You're not leaving until I say so," that this wasn't a line about hip-hop and love, this was real. And Brooke appeared broken, her voice breaking, her nails broken. "I felt I wouldn't make it out, so I pleaded with him," she added. There are now rumors of hallway footage being leaked, security personnel being bought off, and Jim's legal team attempting to hide everything. However, Brooke Bailey isn't going to be silent any longer. She's leaving for blood. And Jim's entire company could be destroyed by what is going to be revealed. The question then becomes, did Jim Jones hold Brooke Bailey captive? Or is this the final twist of retribution that nobody noticed, arriving when Brooke Bailey eventually intervened? What happened behind that hotel door may ruin jobs and get someone in jail, so let's dissect it. There wasn't the usual sparkle in that press room. Her face was covered in pure fear, as though she had seen the devil, without any filters, glam squad, or eyelashes. Perhaps she had since. Indeed, she claims that Jim Jones did not just cross the line, he deleted it. Early in the morning, rumors began to circulate. A blurry video that appeared to be Brooke Bailey screaming in a high-rise hotel hallway while wearing a robe was released online. Her hair washer voice shattered like glass and her hair matted. There was something about her phone stepping aside and begging for help. The walk that chain looked a lot like Jim, but the man in the hoodie had his face partially obscured. Fans initially thought it was an antique building or a set for a movie, but Brooke, when Bailey broke down in tears and confessed it herself, she quickly put an end to the situation. "He told me I couldn't leave and locked me in there. In that room. I felt like I was going to die." Though within minutes, the internet went crazy. Twitter went wild. Jim Jones held Brooke Bailey captive. Hip-hop and love have just turned into a crime. People didn't before Brooke Bailey revealed the truth. "I wasn't sure if it was a PR stunt or the truth." She claims to have proof that the incident occurred less than 72 hours ago. Hold on. Let's go back. Jim and Brooke Bailey Jones had some history, but it wasn't the kind that people were interested in after a few run-ins on the red carpet. According to reports, the two had been having sex behind closed doors for more than 8 months, including private flights, covert dinners, and even behind-the-scenes flirting during VH1 tapings. Then, according to Brooke Bailey, there was a serious fallout when she discovered she wasn't the only lady on Jim's phone after they got into a heated argument in a hotel in Las Vegas about text messages from someone else. She claims he grabbed her phone, got in her face. Jim Jones, a well-liked adult, is accused of holding a woman against her will in a hotel room. He closed the lovely door and informed her bluntly, "You're not going anywhere till I say so." Let that sink in. Barbara Kloss has not yet responded to any tweets or interviews, but those close to him, such as an assistant manager, say he is in a panic. It seems that Jim Jones called the hotel staff to inquire about whether hallway cameras could be taken out for privacy. Guess what happened next when that didn't work? According to reports, 2 security guards were bought off to hide the video. I'm not speaking there, but that's what the juice was informed by an anonymous person within the hotel. And tell me why the security guard was fired 24 hours later before you start saying that's all hearsay. Let's not, though. According to Brooke Bailey, she was detained in that room for almost 6 hours without food, without a phone, and without any clue of how she was going to leave. She said she made 2 attempts to run for the door. He blocked it once, and it appears that we haven't received hospital care since that reports as of yet. However, during the live stream, Brooke Bailey showed signs of bruising on her arms. She claimed to have gotten them as she attempted to push by him and he held on to her too tightly. Many people wonder why a breakup might turn into a full-fledged crime scene. She called the police, didn't she? Why didn't she file a complaint that evening? According to Brooke Bailey, she was afraid because Jim Jones threatened to destroy her. claimed to have contacts that may make her seem crazy by claiming that nobody would believe her. This is where the odd thing lies. Because Brooke Bailey, who is often so cool and fire-toned, actually looked defeated, she almost believed him, which shocked everyone online. She alleged she spent hours thinking whether this was how her tale ended while she was in the hotel restroom. "If I scream too loud, will he snap?" she once feared. Brooke's sister later said that she hadn't heard from her in a long time, all day, and intended to file a missing persons report. However, Brooke Bailey eventually ran away from the housekeeper, the story's real star, right before she did. When hotel workers arrived the following morning to clean the room, Brooke Bailey reportedly sprinted by her barefooted down asked the front desk to call a ride after climbing 3 flights of stairs into the lobby. It has been reported that the same hotel staff member has been moved. In any case. Meanwhile, followers are turning into detectives. According to a woman on TikTok, she linked a high-end hotel in Vegas to the hallway carpet pattern. 2 days earlier, another user reported seeing Jim's SUV parked outside the same location, with TMZ circling like vultures. Another woman, a so-called backup girlfriend, is also the subject of new rumors. It is said that she messaged Jim Jones that same evening to inquire about Brooke Bailey's whereabouts. Allegedly taken from Jim's cell. The message says, "I'm still managing the drama. She hasn't left yet." Has she left yet? She wasn't a package. Jim Jones, that's a complete human being. Keep in mind that Jim Jones hasn't denied anything, but his team is allegedly preparing for war. One insider claims that Jim's lawyers are getting ready to make a public statement portraying Brooke Bailey as erratic and compulsive. This is being characterized as a last-ditch effort to gain influence. Sound familiar? When a woman speaks up, that's typically the response, isn't it? However, Brooks has more up her sleeve. She claims to have screenshots. She says there is audio in the video clips. Yes, exactly. While he wasn't paying close attention to what she was saying, she recorded a portion of their argument. "If they try to portray me as crazy, it'll make everything public." The question now is, will she? Because it's more than just a PR issue if the recording leaks and we catch even a glimpse of Jim's voice sounding even slightly ominous. That's incarceration, kidnapping, assault, and witness intimidation, perhaps. It's Brooke Bailey versus the whole damn company now, not just Brooke Bailey versus Jim Jones. And no, if you believe it ends here, because starting tonight, someone else just joined the conversation. Someone who claims to have seen it all and is prepared to talk about it. According to Brooke Bailey, the calm in the room wasn't just physical. It was a battle of the mind. Jim, she said, although Jones never touched her, the mental hold was unbreakable. He simply blocked the door, as if he were daring me to try anything. According to Brooke Bailey, his demeanor changed from that of a smooth-talking musician to something from a crime documentary, the icy, deliberate, and remarkably serene. But it was what transpired after Brooke Bailey's revelation that really took people by surprise. An unidentified hotel employee broke into the DMS of a hotel shortly after her breakdown interview aired. That renowned gossip blogger and their unverified, hazy, yet compelling enough revelations to cause people to halt for a single grainy photo. Timestamped hotel surveillance footage. And guess who's outside at 2:47 on a lovely 9:23 a.m. Jim Jones' hoodie pulled down, looked in both directions, and vanished into the room. According to Brooke Bailey, she was confined for several hours. The voice of Brooke Jim's longtime reality TV partner, Chrissy Lumpin, had hardly recovered from this revelation, and as a result, he was labeled insane. Additionally, social media is ablaze, and the one person fans thought would never be involved in this kind of issue is now involved. However, this is when things became ugly because of rumors. According to the released tape, Chrissy Lumpin presumably learned the same night as the rest of us. It seems that one of Chrissy's close friends, we don't use that phrase very often, got in touch with her and said, "Girl, you before it makes it to TMZ, you'd better see what your man is doing at the Hilton." Chrissy Lumpin reportedly became completely silent for 48 hours after seeing the tape reports. Jim Jones, on the other hand, wasn't tweeting in a mysterious manner its Instagram stories about caps. Nothing but quiet. You are aware of the adage regarding silence? It screams guilt more loudly than any confession ever could. Let's not pretend, though, appeared out of nowhere. There have always been concerns about Jim's past interactions with women, particularly well-known ladies. The man's reputation hasn't been spotless, with issues ranging from feuds with co-stars to dubious backroom business. Rumors, misunderstandings, and misinformation were constant. But this is a physical imprisonment charge in a closed hotel suite. It's not enough to just write an apologetic note and move on. The vocal note then slipped and became jumbled but horrifying. I urged her to relax. I didn't touch her, but she wouldn't admit to being afraid. I simply had to talk. The individual on the recording uttered those words. Did Jim Jones do it? It was a familiar but scratchy voice. Others insist it was him, tired and frustrated, trying to explain something that was already spinning, while others say it was changed. Fan pages started analyzing the blogs, and the blogs went berserk. Background sounds also slowed down the movie and claimed that you could hear an old Martin rerun playing on a TV in the background. They timed the program to coincide with the alleged event night. It enters full-fledged shark behavior when it detects the scent of blood. Brooke Bailey, meantime, has stopped doing podcast appearances, interviews, and Instagram stories. Supporters are concerned about Brooke Bailey's whereabouts, whether she's okay, and why she hasn't responded since the leak. Some worried she'd been silenced, while others imagined her solicitors had finally stepped in and ordered her to stop talking. However, none anticipated her return a week later, not crying this time, but wearing a full makeup jacket, sitting across from a well-known YouTube journalist, calm, collected, and prepared to reveal all. I had nothing further to say. Her voice started low, but I had to protect my reputation when people began accusing me of lying. Then the shocking news arrived. That night in the hotel wasn't a chance meeting, Brooke Bailey said. She claims that for weeks, Jim had been preparing her through days, lighthearted phone chats while feigning to discuss business. He told me that he wanted to build a genuine relationship because he valued my business. She thought it was a brand consensus, a partnership, and a chance to take action. However, Jim Jones allegedly told her the room was more private when she got to the hotel for what she thought would be a quick encounter in the lobby. We can talk without the noise. You know how people are. What happened next? She responded, referring to what she thinks to be 4 hours of pressure, manipulation, and intimidation. She didn't charge him with physically. Brooke made a passionate, powerful, and lasting threat while his hands were shaking. I can assure you that you won't receive another call in this field after you leave. She described how she realized she was surrounded by power rather than fists. Viewers realized at that moment that this was more significant than Brooke Bailey and Jim Jones. It was about the covert activities of powerful persons. This is the kind of manipulation that doesn't make headlines since it doesn't cause harm. In a single day, the interview received 2 million views. Jim's side projects began to lose sponsors, and a significant podcast came to an end. The upcoming appearance. Overnight, one sponsor even removed his picture from their website. What happened next, however, no one saw coming. The manager of the Hilton Hotel actually made a statement, note a full statement to the media, not a tweet. And it admitted that hotel security had handled a noise complaint close to Suite 923 the same evening they had knocked, had no response, and left. All they would say was that, however, the internet confirmed that something happened and that something wasn't quite right. At that point, public opinion completely changed. The genuine questions began to be asked. Why didn't Jim Jones speak up sooner if this was innocent? Why didn't Chrissy Lumpkin comment? Why is Jim's crew going silent all of a sudden? As public as the pressure mounted, Jim's lawyers finally took action, sending a cease and desist letter to the Brooks interview host asking them to remove the movie. Else facing legal action, which had a disastrous outcome because, once that fear was removed, every significant the interview footage, memes, summaries, and answer videos were reprinted on the site, and that is exactly where we start our Part 3 lawsuits. Brooke Bailey reportedly prepared to take the case to court after Chrissy Lumpkin allegedly packed her belongings because if what she's claiming is indeed, Jim Jones might face criminal prosecution in addition to having his shows cancelled. Additionally, the hotel security staff later revealed an anonymous employee voice that was disguised as someone else when the internet was ablaze with rumors. Masked uttered the quiet part aloud when phoning a dubious Instagram blog. Film is available. We were told not to record the video. You're referring to the same monitoring video that could confirm if Brooke Bailey was, in fact, locked in that room for hours? Jim's lawyers allegedly requested that the same video be removed. Hotel management reportedly offered a 5-figure payment to clean up the mess. However, not everyone was prepared to keep quiet. At 4 a.m., a front desk employee reported seeing Brooke Bailey barefoot and shivering. According to M, she appeared to have just left through hell. To be clear, this is more than simply celebrity drama now. The process is a full-fledged possible criminal investigation. Furthermore, if even half of what Brooke Bailey is claiming is accurate, Jim can be the subject of allegations that garner international attention. However, it gets worse because another woman comes forward as Brooke Bailey is still dealing with the emotional fallout from that evening. Just a DM, no name, no face hashtag surviving Jim Jones was trending and the message on the burner account said, "Brew not the only one. He did it to me, too. Same hotel, same pattern, different city within hours." Like a true crime documentary, YouTube T-channels and influencers TikTok detectives were digging into Jim's past behavior in great detail. What they found was more receipts than anyone could ever use for a 2018 podcast episode. Jim Jones jokingly suggested that he should detain a woman in his room until she calmed down. "When I pushed lock on the door tonight, she found a throwaway bar in one of his mixed apps." Back then, people were laughing. They have stopped laughing. Justin, if all of this chaos wasn't enough, guess who stepped up without warning? Jim's own mother, Mama Jones, made an extremely defensive Instagram live appearance. She was yelling, "These women are always trying to trap my son," with her hair knotted tight and her fingers pointing at the TV. What it was, Brooke Bailey knew. She had been keeping an eye on him for years. She wanted to cry, but her outburst made things worse rather than better for Jim Jones. "If Brooke Bailey is a bitter groupie," she said, "perhaps she will finally sit still if you lock her in a room." The internet let out a gasp. Jim's most recent musical endeavor was secretly postponed by sponsors. According to industry sources, a big brand because they don't want their name next to his, deals have already been cancelled for one liquor campaign and one shoe collaboration. This is where the story takes a bizarre turn that no one saw coming. Due to the fact that amid all of this commotion, the documents were revealed when Brooke Bailey sought for a restraining order. When Brooke attempted to leave, Jim Jones allegedly threatened her in addition to locking her in. According to her, he said that although Jim's squad resisted, Yuans were shaken, not powerful. They launched a lawsuit opposing everything, claiming that Brooke, a publicity-seeking reality TV relic who was using past relationships to maintain her relevance, made up the story to gain influence and had every right to quit. However, if so, why did Brooke include text message screenshots in her court filing? "I apologize for losing my temper, but I still love you," one remarked, while another advised against going public. "It's already volcanic, and you know how vicious it can go." Speaking of volcanic, let's discuss the recently leaked voicemail from last night, and the purported recording of Jim yelling in his voice was sobbing as he said, "You not going no."